I recently attended the Reckoning LARP experience, and let me tell you, the game took the field by storm. Was that a poor choice of words? All right, all jokes aside, here is my experience at Reckoning LARP. Full disclosure, we did not get to play the duration of the entire game this season because of the torrential downpours, horrible, horrible storms. This experience is limited, but it gave me a great view on what to expect for future Reckoning games. So, all of that aside, I'm not going to bring up that anymore throughout this discussion because this is more about what was controllable and what the game entailed and the mechanics at hand and role play and my first person viewpoint and perspective of Reckoning. To start off, this entire game is based off a lot of lore, a lot of storytelling, several different cultures, just incredible background that's very, very rich. So if that is something that you enjoy, visit their website at reckoninglarp.com and start reading. I did not feel as a player that I had to know every aspect of the lore. I went in as a wanderer, somebody who did not quite belong to a clan. I wanted to go in with as fresh a perspective, a certain flexibility to allow myself to fit into the story as it played out. I did bring along my character, Estrid, who is a blacksmith armorer, and I made a traveling forge, a LARP, foam anvil, and set up there, which I think added a lot of atmosphere, brought my character to life in a way I had not been able to do before. And I will say that the culture that I joined, the Vadurkin, fully embraced that and were so excited to play around with their new blacksmith. Which leads me to my next point is how welcoming all of the cultures are. So even the ones that I had not been a part of, did not know, did not join, they were so fun to interact with both in and out of game. So the overall community of this LARP was really welcoming, very kind, and very playful. And as a side note, LARP or live action role play, the role play aspect, especially if you have an event that's very immersive, people can get really serious and really excited about that. It is really easy and in a very immersive environment where a lot of details have been put into place to make you feel like you're in a different world. It is really easy to take things as though it's real. And you're going to find that in any immersive experience. And there were just, I think this is a level of comfort. I think I was around a lot of people who are used to role play and have done role play for a long time, either in a tabletop experience like Dungeons and Dragons or have been to several LARPs. And so I felt very comfortable to completely let go of Ashley and embrace Estrid and take on the opportunities that allow her to shine and really bring that character to life even more than I've ever been able to, which was really astounding to me because as somebody with a background in acting and have been a character with a lot of emphasis in improvisation to interact with patrons, this was this was a really cool experience for me. You don't feel weird, you don't feel odd for staying in character, you don't feel like maybe you're taking it too seriously. You know, obviously there are checks in place to make sure people are safe, both physically and behaviorally. And so I felt like I was in a safe place to let go outside of just battle, because in the past, battles have been the only place that I have felt truly in my role play element. It's a lot harder to stay in character when you see a friend out and about and you want to talk to them and interact with them as your out of game character. In this world, I felt truly immersed as much as I possibly could be. Moments that were just some of the best role play I've ever experienced. One of which was a ritual that we did before a battle. In this game, there are magic elements, which I had not experienced before. This was definitely a higher fantasy genre. And so my character was a spell scribe because I was able to do things that made sense as a blacksmith, such as mend shields and enhance armor. A great opportunity to experiment with something I have not been able to do before. And we did a ritual that required the spell scribes, the arcanists, and potion masters to come together and do something to enhance armor and protect our clan. And I had an adrenaline rush from this moment. And I can count on one hand how many times that's happened. And it's all been up until this point during an actual battle. So for that to have been just a moment leading up to one That was such an incredible experience. Everybody was involved. No one made anybody feel stupid for really like getting into the throes of pretending to enchant armor or protect a soldier about to go out, a warrior about to go out and fight. All circled around as a clan, as a culture, and uh, obviously made things up as we went, but it felt so cool. It felt like something out of a movie. And we had an element called malice. This gem was something that we were all the clans were trying to find, all of the cultures were trying to find and accumulate and keep in their treasure box. And we had collected some of this malice. And just like if you're familiar with like Harry Potter and Horcruxes and how the characters were made to feel whenever they had a Horcrux, it would change their demeanor. Malice worked very similarly, though only artisans like myself and other characters could handle malice without taking a mortal wound. Other people would have to be healed or raised back up by a bone knitter or healer. So for some of the enchantments that we did, we had to have malice on hand, and Estrid was the one designated to go and collect one of the malice that we had in our treasure box. The fun part of roleplay and improv was the ability to kind of make up the effect. We were encouraged to pick some kind of effect that it would have on you, even if it didn't outright kill you. It would have a heavy burden of some sort on your person. So I decided that this piece of malice that I had in my hand would induce kind of a rage effect. It would be something that would be so oppressive that Estrid could not ignore it. And everyone embraced that. They were checking on Estrid and making sure that, you know, she wasn't becoming overcome with rage, that she was able to handle it. And we were able to channel that into our enchantments. And it was such an epic moment. And then as we all stood after our ceremony or ritual was completed, the crone came around and started painting runes on our forehead, which just felt like I was about to be this Viking, like epic warrior person. And oh my gosh, it just was just so cool to experience and see her go around and get everybody ready. And just the theatrics of it all, the intensity of it all was something I'll never forget. And I'll need to circle back to that because there are things that I wanted to get out of this experience to add to Estrid's backstory, to channel forward. I almost took a step back in time with her with this event, to maybe add to her backstory on why she is the way she is. And so let me circle back on malice later on. The other role play moment, and I don't even know how much of this was role play, if this was an actual thing that happened in real life and they were channeling it into the game, or if this was actually something planned like an in-game scheme. But dealing with the arbiters was so fun. They added so much interest and intrigue. We didn't quite know where their magic stemmed from or what they knew or what their motives were. And so that was a nice kind of captivating mechanic to be incorporated in general. So one of my favorite moments with them was leaving the tavern and heading back towards my encampment with a friend when we were approached by two arbiters, and they were explaining that they had been stolen from and that they needed to find the culprit and that a great reward would be given to the person that at least was able to identify the thief. So we agreed to try to figure this out. And so they gave me a pouch of bright orange, which was their color, that I could wear on me to kind of lure the thief and see who it is. And we took on this quest, went back to the tavern, and were working together to see who this thief would be, and almost caught him in the act. We immediately figured out who it was and were able to identify him and almost lured him in until he was spooked by my comrade. And so that whole experience was it just felt like we were super sleuths going on this mission, and we needed to try to either put him to sleep with one of our sleep spells and take him hostage, or at least be able to identify him. Had this whole scheme in place, and then even incorporated some of the other people in the tavern to kind of work with us on, like, why are we hanging around so long? Why do we keep leaving and coming back? It was really funny, but it was a lot of fun. Speaking of tavern, the tavern keeps were amazing actors, absolutely incredible. Their menu was really fun. Their antics while mixing a drink was even funnier, and they were just incredible NPCs. I loved visiting that tavern. It was just something straight out of a game. It was just really cool. So all of this to say, these are very individual experiences that I've had, and you may not necessarily have these exact experiences if you attend Reckoning, but if you open your mind and just go, you will find something to get into. Reckoning is such an open world feel that there's so much going on, you will miss out on some things. So while I would be in line trying to buy vials to buy ingredients to break curses while I see my comrades getting attacked by orcs, to our box getting raided by another culture and friends and foes alike inflicted with orc spells, and the undead have visited us and we just really needed some materials. It was just fun. It was just fun. Like that you could be torn in so many different directions and you just had to pick a path and go and work with the other people in your culture to achieve the goal at hand. If I wanted to fight, I could hop into a fight. If I wanted to help with the artisans, I could go down that path. If I wanted to super sleuth, there was that. If I wanted to raid if I wanted to raid a neighboring culture, I could do that. And I did all those things and it was so fun. Okay, let's talk about the staff. If you didn't know already, Reckoning has been absorbed by a new team of owners. So they have revamped things that needed revamping. They have fine-tuned game mechanics and overall function of the event itself. From helping us understand the mechanics, getting arbiters or our like in-game magical refs in place, working with them to help us through every step of the way, to getting the grounds in a workable condition for as long as they possibly could, just overcoming obstacle after obstacle and doing it all with a smile. I never came across any staff member that was ever cross or impatient or too exhausted to be kind. And that was really needed for morale boosting when things got hard. And they made it so much more fun. You could tell that this was a passion project, and that is very important from running an event like this when you have hundreds of people all together of different backgrounds and different personalities, all trying to have fun in one place. It takes a really good team like that to make that happen and make it come to life and let it be something truly enjoyable. So while we didn't have the longest time to play, the time that we did was very special. So many volunteers and so many people of staff bent over backwards to make sure we were having a good time and that we felt happy and safe. That's really, really important. Our well-being and safety, you could tell, was number one priority, and having fun. The orcs, the amount of talent it took to bring the orcs and the undead to life, no pun intended. It was so incredible. There was so much talent. It was like being on a higher budget movie set. The chills that I got seeing them crest the hilltop um, as full-blown orcs, or creeping up as the undead, and fighting them and not knowing exactly, are we killing them or just temporarily putting them down. It added this element of, it doesn't matter whose side you're on and who you're allied with. We all have to ally against these evil beings. And then there was also this sense of, ooh, what if they're allying with them? And so no one trusted anybody. But that adds to the intensity and hype of the gameplay of, you really got to stick with your own culture and know who you're working with. They handled any and all conflict with speed and ease. And I know that it took a lot on them to handle some of the obstacles that were handed their way. There were so many things that were completely out of their power and control, and they still maintained their composure, their smiles, and their ability to problem solve and work with people and be the ones in control and in charge. I'm excited to see where Reckoning LARP goes. I think that this was, even though a short run, it was a true trial run on what they're capable of, and I'm excited to attend in the future. Now, as for Estrid and her story, I don't know how much time she will spend in this clan as a wanderer. But what I do know is that there is a reason that she is who I channel when I'm angry or need to vent. She has an element of rage,